first memory that ever stuck in her mind was of her mother brushing her younger brother's hair, smiling in that soft way she never used with her daughter. She remembered how she hovered in the doorway, waiting for the same warmth, the same affection, the same look that said, "You matter to me." But it never came. Instead, her mother glanced up annoyed, as though the simple act of seeing her older child was an irritation she had learned to tolerate. Her father wasn't much different. He adored the boy, parading him like a trophy, as if the universe had arranged itself around the chosen son. Meanwhile, the daughter was treated like a shadow that walked behind the family, a presence never acknowledged unless someone needed to blame something on her. Every mistake in the house seemed to slide toward her like gravity. Every anger, every disappointment, every unspoken resentment landed on her shoulders, even when she couldn't understand why. She grew up listening to the words that can bruise deeper than fists. "Why can't you be more like your brother? What's wrong with you? Stop being dramatic. You're too sensitive. You're difficult." Eventually, she began to believe them. As she grew into her late teens, the loneliness carved itself into her like a long, deep scar. She would lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering why she was born into a world where even the people who were supposed to love her couldn't find space in their hearts for her. Sometimes she thought about disappearing, quietly, painlessly, slipping out of existence so they could finally have the perfect family they acted like she ruined. The idea of suicide didn't come like a storm. It came slowly, softly, like an invitation whispered into her ear over time. She thought of it when her father yelled at her for something her brother broke. She thought of it when her mother told her she was unworthy of love. She thought of it the day her brother laughed at her crying, and her mother didn't even look up. But the universe always has a strange way of sending a lifeline at the very edge of the cliff. Hers came in the form of a boy named Ethan. She met him in college after escaping her house like someone running from a burning building. He had a gentle voice, warm eyes, and the ability to look at her as though she were something precious. He noticed the sadness she tried so hard to hide, and instead of pulling away, he leaned closer. He asked questions. He listened. He never judged. For the first time in her life, someone cared, not because they had to, but because they genuinely wanted to. He learned about her scars the way someone reads an old book, carefully, patiently, as if unraveling the pain page by page. And soon she realized she wasn't thinking about dying anymore. She was thinking about living, with him, because of him. Ethan taught her something her parents never did, that love could be gentle, that she wasn't broken, that she wasn't unworthy, that she mattered. And from that moment on, something inside her shifted. She decided she would build a life so grand, so powerful, so unshakable, that the people who threw her away would one day choke on their own regret. Pain became her fuel. She studied harder than anyone else. She won debates, chaired committees, joined political campaigns, and became known on campus as the girl who didn't just walk into rooms, she commanded them. Professors respected her, students admired her, leaders noticed her. She graduated with honors, earned a master in public policy, and became the youngest legislative aide in the governor's office. Ethan stood beside her as she rose through every rank, always encouraging, always supporting, always reminding her of the power she carried. The higher she climbed, the smaller her parents' voices became. Years passed and her name began appearing in newspapers. She stood on stages delivering speeches that shook people's hearts. She fought for education, for fairness for people who grew up like her, neglected, unseen, unheard. Her story resonated, her presence commanded respect. Eventually she announced she was running for governor. Some laughed at first, but those laughs didn't last long. She was intelligent, fierce, strategic, and backed by people who had watched her rise like a storm. Ethan handled press, her campaign team believed in her, and the public adored her. Election night felt like the universe turning a page in her book. When the results came in and her victory was announced, the crowd screamed her name like a song. She stood on the stage in front of thousands, lights blinding, cameras flashing, Ethan's hand in hers. The girl who once cried alone at night was now the governor of the state. And for the first time in her life, she felt like she had finally rewritten her destiny. Her parents saw the news on TV. Suddenly the daughter they ignored became a shining star they desperately wanted to claim. Their neighbors congratulated them, their church members called, people praised them as if they had raised the governor themselves. Her mother's voice trembled when she called. Her father's pride filled his message. They wanted to visit, they wanted to reconnect, they wanted the glory. But she didn't answer. Silence became her revenge. The first year of her term, they showed up at her office without an appointment. Security intercepted them. They gave their names. Security checked the authorized visitors list. Her parents were not on it. They insisted they were her family. The guard simply said, "Governor's orders." They left humiliated. She continued leading the state with brilliance, compassion, and strength. She visited schools, attended town meetings, and built policies to protect children who grew up in homes like hers. People called her the governor with a warrior's heart. Her parents watched her on TV, realizing the daughter they dismissed had become someone the entire state admired, someone powerful, someone whole. They wrote letters, she returned them unopened. They begged for forgiveness, she had none left to give. The only family she ever truly had was the one she chose, Ethan, their future children, and the people who believed in her when her own blood didn't. And so she kept walking forward, head held high, never looking back. Her silence echoed louder than any revenge she could have spoken aloud, and her parents finally understood the cost of cruelty. The daughter they rejected had become the woman they would spend the rest of their lives longing for. And she lived her life not out of spite, but out of freedom, proof that the greatest revenge is building a life so beautiful that the people who once hurt you can no longer reach you. Because she wasn't just a survivor. She wasn't just a leader. She was a governor. She was loved. She was whole. And she owed them nothing.